This is eNews headlines, or rather the full bulletin coming up in the next hour, live from Johannesburg. I'm Kathy Mutlahlana. Let's take a look at our top stories for tonight. A fourth child succumbed to his injuries in Johannesburg in a hospital after a walkway structure collapsed at the Driehoek School. Picking up the pieces, several families in Ladysmith in KwaZulu-Natal were evacuated last night after their homes were destroyed in a devastating storm. We kick it off here tonight. Gauteng's Education Department has sent condolences to the family of the fourth child who died this morning following Friday's walkway collapse at Hoërskool Driehoek in Vanderbijl Park. The learner was in ICU when he succumbed to his injuries. The school will remain closed until further notice, having been declared a crime scene following the collapse. Marnus Nachel was in grade 12.
We are saddened by the passing away of the fourth child from the tragedy that occurred on Friday, the 1st of February. The child was doing grade 12. We have actually interacted with the school. This morning they visited the family to convey, our deepest, condolences. We are just hopeful that the other learners that are recuperating at the different medical centers, they will make it. And this one, actually, we were worrisome with, his injuries. He went in and out of the, theater.
The department has also opened a trauma center at the school.
We have a permanent now trauma center that is going to be operating at the school, with effect of tomorrow, that is Monday. As you will know, that there will be memorial services that will be facilitated. So you will still need on a continuous basis trauma, counseling. Those learners, remember, some of them were part of the rescue team. I mean, they went in there as brave as they were, but you need to understand that psychologically you need to take them very close, that there might be an impact at a later stage. So they need to be taken through that process.
Scores of families have been left homeless after a devastating storm wreaked havoc in Ladysmith, KwaZulu-Natal last night. Disaster management teams are assessing the damage, and affected residents are being temporarily housed in a community hall. Dasan Tathia visited the area and filed this report.
Fortunately, there was no one who was injured. We just missed by stones after that hailstorm started.
A vicious storm has ripped through parts of Ladysmith, causing serious damage and reducing many homes, like the one behind me, to rubble. Several people have been injured, and between 300 to 400 people have been displaced. They're currently being housed in a community hall.
Almost all the stuff was damaged, even the uniform for the kids, books, everything, even my stuff for work, it's damaged.
KZN Cogta is here, and I'm with the MEC, Nomusa Dube, and she joins me now. MEC, let's start with the most important thing. How is the community, that lives here? Any serious injuries?
Well, we do not have any serious injuries at the moment, thanks God. But emotionally, communities have been seriously affected by the situation. It was a 30-minute wreaking havoc of strong winds with a lot of rains that pour in, and people didn't know where to go. All the roofs were blown away. Many houses have been partially destroyed. Others have been totally destroyed, as you can see from this one here. We are now here trying to really assess for ourselves the extent of damage and also to give immediate relief. Last night, a number of people were housed at the community hall, and early in the morning we had to come back because people also need to look after their properties and after their belongings. And we're now trying to really piece off, whatever remains of the hard work they've done over the years. But we're grateful to God that so far there's no fatalities.
That was the KZN Cogta MEC Nomusa Dube, just saying to us that the work by their teams here has only just begun. There is a lot more to do, but priority right now is to ensure that those that have been affected are actually given other places to live as a matter of priority because this place is not safe at the moment. So that's a work in progress, and a number of departments will be coming together to see how that can be done. I'm Desan Tathia in Ladysmith.
Members of the Enlightened Christian Gathering Church are rallying behind their embattled leader, Shepherd Bushiri. The controversial pastor was arrested on Friday for fraud and money laundering charges. The church opened its doors for the first time today since a deadly stampede killed 3 people in December. Tsehohadzo Moahi has the story.
Excitement filled the Tshwane Event Centre grounds on Sunday as services began at the Enlightened Christian Gathering Church. The halls and tents filled to capacity. That's despite the absence of the church's leader, Shepherd Bushiri, and his wife, Mary, who were arrested on Friday.
The church is rather existing the same way it's existed before. I think we have explained a few times that ECG is an international church. We have over 1,000 branches across the world. ECG Pretoria is just but one branch of the many branches that we have. The church itself exists outside of the person. Of course, in the past, there's been a tendency to conflate the person of Prophet Shepherd Bushiri and the church, but that has been incorrect. As you can see, thousands have gathered here. They've gathered in his absence, and they've gathered because people do not come for the prophet, people come to God.
And Bushiri supporters continue to stand with him.
We don't expect that we should throng there in thousands. There are legal representatives, that is their turf. If the church wants to send any particular message regarding anything, we do it here, we do it in prayer.
The controversial pastor, who's facing fraud and money laundering charges, will appear in the Pretoria Commercials Crimes Court along with his wife on Monday. Tsehohadzo Moahi, Pretoria.
Mineral Resources Minister and ANC Chair Gwede Mantashe says those who think he's corrupt will be left disappointed. Mantashe says he's going back to the state capture inquiry after a Bosasa employee named him in wrongdoing. Richard Leroux, that is, told the Zondo Commission of Inquiry that Bosasa funded and installed security systems at 3 of Mantashe's properties in Boksburg and 2 in the Eastern Cape. Spamandla Goge spoke to Mantashe about the claims.
I'm not implicated, I'm accused. You will notice a few things. Agrees, who was the main witness, who spent 10 days, didn't mention my name once. Basically, my name is mentioned in what I call annexure to the evidence. But it is quite important for us to address that issue because it has opened up an avenue for quite a number of people to attack me in person from different angles. Others are attacking me because they're disappointed for me to be associated with this Bosasa saga. Very disappointed, many. To those, I think I must apologize, but and say, I have a responsibility to clarify the issues.
Coming up after the break, all your international news, and with car manufacturer Nissan abandoning its plans to build a new X-Trail model in Britain. This is over Brexit concerns. We'll give you full details when the bulletin continues. South Africa has a dire shortage of stem cell donors of mixed or black heritage. Now, the South African Bone Marrow Registry is calling on potential local donors to come forward. This is the only accredited bone marrow registry in Africa. Leanne Jansen has more.
You have a 1 in 100,000 chance of finding a stem cell DNA match anywhere in South Africa. But the country only has around 70,000 donors on its registry. The majority of them are white.
Where we're seeing a lot of more difficulty is when you have a mixed heritage. Because now you're mixing 2 different types of gene pools together. In South Africa, our registry has about 67% white and only about 10% black donors.
Nelon Katu knows this firsthand. Her son Zivile could have died of leukemia had he not received a match all the way from the USA 5 years ago.
Normally I go to Red Cross and Tigerberg, and you can see a whole lot of kids there struggling up until to death sometimes because they don't get matches, and mostly they are blacks and coloreds.
Zivile may have been lucky, but 25-year-old Jody Lenders is currently confined to his Tygerberg hospital room in desperate need of a match. He suffers from aplastic anemia and was too weak to be interviewed for this story. The South African Bone Marrow Registry is appealing for more donors of mixed and/or black heritage to come forward. For more information on becoming a donor, visit www.sabmr.co.za. Leanne Jansen, Cape Town.
Specialists are calling for Lami the elephant to be released into a sanctuary. She's the only elephant at the Johannesburg Zoo. Her companion, Kindle, died last year. The specialists have compiled a list of what they say are major shortcomings in Lami's continued stay in captivity. They say her life is in danger. Ngobile Magala has the details.
It's a showdown between the elephant specialist and the zoo authorities. The problem? Lami, the only elephant currently housed at the Johannesburg Zoo. Now elephant specialists have put pen to paper explaining why they believe Lami deserves to be relocated. They say living in captivity will limit her lifespan, and that leaving alone severely compromises her welfare, as elephants are highly social beings. But Jozi Zoo officials insist that those issues don't apply to Lami, as she was born and raised at the zoo.
We are of the firm belief that stemming from our assessments, our monitoring, that Lami's coping considerably well. She's making sure she has a dedicated enrichment officer. This is overseen by 2 in-house veterinarians. We have an in-house hospital. We can claim that these facilities are not found in sanctuary.
And they have an elephant healer to back their claims. Fran says this is the best place for Lami.
Lami is doing very well. She's very happy. As you can see, she's having fun now. I spend a lot of time with her and I talk to her, and this is her family. The zoo is her family.
While the battle of words continue on paper, Lami remains at the Johannesburg Zoo, while the officials seek for a companion for her. Ngobile Madlala, Johannesburg Zoo, Johannesburg.
All right, let's take a look at some international news now. Queensland's district of Townville saw heavy rainfall of over 1,000 meters, millimeters that is, in the past 7 days, beating its previous record in 1998. Emergency services had conducted 28 swift water rescues and assisted 90 assisted relocations in the area. Queensland Department of Education has announced closure for schools in Townsville for tomorrow due to significant flooding and for the safety of staff and students. Giant billboards of a smiling Donald Trump shaking hands with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu loomed over the main entrances to Jerusalem and central Tel Aviv. This is reportedly part of the Israeli leader's re-election campaign. Trump is popular in Israel because of his tough policies towards the Palestinians and Iran, and his transfer last May of the American embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. And Nissan has abandoned plans to build a new X-Trail model in Britain. The Japanese carmaker says while it's taken the decision for business reasons, the uncertainty surrounding Brexit also played a role. Nissan will now produce the new model at its production hub in Kyushu. After the break, we have your full weather details, and then
It's
been labeled as an authentic South African story. We take you behind the scenes of the movie Matwetwe.
Hello again, everyone. It was a stormy afternoon for some areas in eastern South Africa, while in the south there was some wet weather in the Western Cape, including around the mother city. And we are expecting some of that rain to hang around overnight and into the early parts of tomorrow along the southern coastline, but by lunchtime that area will also be dry. In the afternoon, thunderstorms once again returned to the far eastern parts of the country, including KwaZulu-Natal and Mpumalanga, as well as Limpopo. But for the Northern Cape, it's going to be a sunny and dry day. Hotter conditions for Springbok and Calvinia as your temperatures climb above 30 degrees Celsius. The Western Cape will be drier and somewhat warmer, but as we've just seen along the south coast, some morning rain possible for Mossel Bay as well as George. A few showers also lingering for parts of the Eastern Cape, but in general it will be a drier day for the province and we no longer expect thunderstorms for the province. In KwaZulu-Natal, though, there will be a few thunder showers in the afternoon and evening, especially for the interior and most likely for Newcastle, Ladysmith and Vryheid, where there is a 60% chance. Vigorous thunderstorm activity expected for parts of Mpumalanga, where some of those thunder showers could become severe, and we see similar conditions for a much wetter Limpopo, but it's still going to be a hot day in the area as most places climb well above 30 degrees. For the northwest, it's going to be quite a bit drier, partly cloudy skies, also hot in the area. And for the Free State, you're going to see cloud cover developing in the afternoon, but for now it looks as though it does stay dry all across the province. And finally, for Gauteng, it will also be dry in the south for Vereniging, but in the north, just a few isolated thunderstorms will be possible. The extended forecast into Tuesday indicates a few more showers and thunderstorms in the northern parts, thicker cloud for Johannesburg, where it will be cooler with a high of 24. And then on Wednesday, thunderstorms persist in the northeast, while in the west, temperatures are going to be climbing under sunny skies, with some areas in the Cape provinces reaching the 40s. That's all from the Weather Centre. Goodbye for now.
We end off the bulletin here. Local film Madwedwe is shattering a box office records. The movie made over 900,000 rand in its first 3 days after being released last week. Writer and director Kagiso Lidikha says it's an authentic South African story. Our reporter Didiro Silepe caught up with the two lead actors.
Bona chu santse re vai re go cinema ro sheba bra di mana tlhalong ispitori khane ke dio manje ejo e motshelo ra zinyela tlo bona Matwetu move wa go pay mfethu o stop for my brother. Matwetu is a movie by Kagiso Lidikha, executive producer ke Black Coffee. It's on now in cinemas. We broke the record. You can't miss it, my brother. You can't miss Matwetu. Wena jo akere one
an authentic South African film is what they're calling Matwetu. The name loosely translates to wizard. The movie follows the story of two high school best friends, Lefa and Papi, on a wild journey on New Year's Eve as they try to score a deal, outsmart a gangster, and get the girl. It's a week since its release and the movie is still selling out theaters. It made over 900,000 rand in the local box office and is now sitting at number 3 on the movie charts.
The response has been like amazing. People have been flocking to the cinemas. First day Costerland, we sold out 6 cinemas.
People are glad to see new faces on the big screen, you know. It somehow revives a lot of people and gives young people hope.
Both actors mentioned that it's important to continue telling authentic South African stories. Screenings of the movie continue at theaters throughout South Africa. Dieter Slepe, Johannesburg.
Well, we continue to wish it all the success. A reminder of the top stories from tonight. A 4th child succumbing to his injuries in the hospital after a walkway structure collapsed at the Driehoek Hoërskool. Picking up the pieces, several families in Ladysmith in KwaZulu-Natal were evacuated last night after their homes were destroyed in a devastating storm. Well, that's a wrap from me and the rest of the team for tonight. Have yourselves a lovely evening.